So the next speaker in the session is John Reeder, who's also from the UK and works in a large practice in the south of England. And he is going to give a presentation to us about the value of paraprofessionals in the veterinary services.
Great, thank you very much, and thank you very much for the invitation. Obviously, Jude has given a sort of outline of global sustainability. John has looked at it more on a farm level. I'm actually going to look at it more, perhaps as our own business level, as the veterinarians all trying to run a business. And I also apologise in advance. There's very little science involved with this presentation. It's very much what we do. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but it's something that has been successful for us to date. These are some of the questions that we have. You'll see sort of what we do as far as our paraprofessionals in a few minutes, but these are some of the questions that are often asked with people who are thinking of doing a similar thing. Certainly, does it pay? Is it worth doing? But I think the one that comes up more than anything is how do we keep hold of them? Because there's a lot of people out there doing very similar things on their own, unchecked, and doing it very profitably as well. So, and how do we recruit them? But I think a lot of practices, certainly in the UK situation, probably have somebody doing this sort of role without actually really calling them a vet tech as such. So we personally think that the vet techs and that part of our business is one of the most exciting areas of growth that we see in the next 10 years. And I think some of that was highlighted by Philip Lowe's report. So those from the UK, this report was written really to look at the role of vets in food animal production in the UK, but it did highlight that as vets we need to come closer towards our closer to our customers, and one of the ways that they perceive that we should be doing that is to look at the potential for vet techs or paraprofessionals and their role on farm. So many people will see this as a huge threat and will be sort of cussing me for saying, well, this is our job, this is our role, we're going to lose all our work and everything else. However, I think we should see this as a real huge opportunity rather than a threat. Okay, we see on a lot of units, due to the economic pressures, there's a reduction in labour units on a lot of these farms, and so the skilled labour is not there, as well as maybe the skilled, the proper equipment that we can provide. I think the other big thing, often these people who become our vet techs, very often, we hate to admit it, actually have a better working relationship with the farmers than some of the vets who are going onto our farms. And we mustn't underestimate that they have a really valid role to play. We see that it's a vital part of the whole team approach. I'm going to come on to that in a few minutes' time. But I think if we don't embrace this role of a paraprofessional, then I think someone else will fill the space. And I think we'd rather have one of our colleagues, one of the people working with us carrying out this role, than someone who is not accredited, who is who can sit up on their own and have who then go off and do their own thing. And I think, if nothing else, this helps to complete this very basic slide, and I make no apologies for that, but I think this is where we see the biggest advantage of having these guys under our own employment and not being their own self-employed. It just completes that cycle, and suddenly we're all working together as a much stronger team. So, just a little bit about our own situation. Really, this all started from we merged two farm animal practices to make a larger one back in 2009, and both of those practices had always employed foot trimmers. And so our paraprofessional service very much evolved from a foot trimming base. But we now employ 7 foot trimmers. We have two dairy hygienists. We have clinical vet techs who are not foot trimmers. That's why I've described them as such. So they're very much involved with data gathering, data collection, trial work, training, all those sort of things. We've recently taken on another one, working together under the RAFT banner, looking at our genomics testing and genomics package going forward. With two lab technicians. That's changed in the last couple of months. and also SQPs. And we see now, if we were to go through this all again, all of our foot trimmers would be SQPs, and that's probably the next step moving forward, that there's so much more that they could gain by also being SQPs. And I'm not going to go through all these. These are just some of the things on the right-hand side that we feel that these guys can be involved with, okay? In our view, anything that somebody else could come onto the farm to provide a service that the farmer wants, we feel that we should be able to be involved in providing that service. So these are some of them. In fact, this is one of my colleagues, Mark, who's actually a vet, but some of our vet techs are now heavily involved with the training. I can't tell you how less stressful it is to have a qualified vet tech there helping you to do this training, and it's certainly enhanced our training. Udder singeing, bolusing, and in fact the most rapidly growing service that we're providing at the moment is freeze branding. But we feel that by having our guys involved, so this is a unit where we will go on and we will do pretty well everything for them. Compliance obviously is a big thing with vaccine, but not only do you find that by putting the right vaccine into the right animal at the right time, actually vaccine use will go up, okay? So there's obviously advantages there, but if you start looking around this picture, you'll see that there's boluses going in, there's fly treatments, all that have been provided by the practice, and we are making sure that we are doing this in an accurate way and making sure that it's done properly. So just a very brief breakdown of our work. This was actually 12 months ago. It's still very much a foot trimming based service, but this is growing. 2015, our guys trimmed 26,000 cows. But increasingly, some of this is lost in what we call para time. So there's an increasing other things coming along, and we're continually evolving the service. And being able to have these guys gathering data gives us huge opportunities as vets. So this is a poster that will be up tomorrow looking at foot lesions. We wouldn't even be able to begin to start to do anything like that without these guys on farm. This is one that we put up at the Cattle Lameness Conference in Worcester not very long ago here in the UK. And that was, again, without these veterinary technicians or paraprofessionals, we wouldn't be able to do that. So does it pay is the big question, okay? A lot of people think, well, maybe it doesn't. So on the vet tech side of things, looking at just foot trimming, it's a much simpler model, although we are looking at differences between hourly rate and foot rate. We personally like the hourly rate system because we feel that that maintains quality, that we don't have this constant rushing by foot trimmers to try and get numbers through. Okay, it's all about quality, and whether it takes 30 seconds to pick a cow up and put it down because nothing needs to be done to it, or it takes half an hour to really sort out a difficult lesion and to block, then the farmer's not being disadvantaged. Certainly, I've already alluded to this increased turnover of other cost centres, so particularly medicines, vaccination, things like that. But don't underestimate these intangible benefits, okay? And really, does it need to pay? It's part of what we feel as a value-added service. Again, the big advantage is we're getting a lot of data now out of heifer weighing. Heifer weighing is one of our big areas that our vet techs are carrying out. Once you do this on a farm during TB testing or at other times, a farmer will do it repeatedly because they see the value. You know, we're able to plot growth rates without great amounts of science involved, and start picking up groups of animals, what's going on with their nutrition, why have they not thrived, is the BVD involved, etc., etc. It's an opportunity for marketing. We're getting on farms, okay, so that's another aspect that you know, we feel that we provide this service. And the other big question is, how do we keep these guys on board? Because they could go and set up. We could do all the training, get these guys really well trained up to trim properly, and then what do they go off and do? However, because we've now built up quite a team, we have an excellent manager who keeps them all together. But I think this variability of work. So, so Matt here, who in fact used to be he was a zookeeper, in fact, until he was made redundant and came and joined us. He will now spend his time. You can't, if you have 6 or 7 sheep, you will struggle to get them sheared because nobody wants to touch them, Okay, so this is part of the smallholder type service that these vet techs will also supply. So it's not just going out to herds with 500 cows, it's going out to anybody that needs this sort of service. Also, all these things that us as vets are employed take perhaps for granted, we will provide for these guys that they haven't got to worry about. Okay, so they haven't got to worry about all these things that they would do if they were going out to being self-employed. A lot of them have come from being farm managers as well. And you would not believe how they feel that their quality of life has improved as a result of coming to work for us. Not saying because it's nice to work for us, I'm saying that actually they get to 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon and for once they haven't got to be up milking cows the following day. So they certainly feel that there is a benefit to that. But with all of that, it has to be professionally done. We've got a vet tech manager who's almost full-time now looking after these guys. They do need all of these things in place. The lone working one is a big issue for us. We take that incredibly seriously. We have trackers in not just all our vets' cars, but in all of these guys' cars. We're also now beginning to look at alarm systems because, you know, with all the best will in the world, people will have injuries, and very often these guys are left unattended on farm working. The other big thing is when you are employing as vets these sort of people, there will be people out there who will want to shoot you down. So you will need to be squeaky clean, okay? Because the competition will want to rubbish you and to make sure that you know it's known. Our foot trimmers, if this sort of thing occurs on a farm, what one of our foot trimmers has been to, it's the end of our foot trimming service in my mind, okay? It's no good if our guys turn up to farm looking like this. Okay, we need to be crystal clean and make sure that everything is spotless all the time. So the other part of this is maintaining quality, and we take that very seriously. So these guys have as much CPD as probably as the vets do. We regularly get together. We are you're making sure that they are aware. We're not necessarily pushing one particular type of trimming. We're making sure that they're aware of all the different types of trimming out there because there are debates on that. But we're making sure that they are kept up to date. We have group sessions every 6 months when all the trimmers get together to share best practice. And I'd like to think that if any of our, that I wouldn't go onto a single farm and find a foot trimmed. This was taken actually in China. This trim, 10,000 cows were being trimmed like this. Maybe we could discuss how many things are wrong with that foot. If one of our foot trimmers left a cow like that, they wouldn't be left on the farm or in our employment very long. But it's up to us to know what is wrong with these sort of things so we can make sure that we can keep up to date. But these guys put a lot of work in. We perceive they're the future of our business. I could see that in 5-10 years' time that the number of vets in our practice could have actually reduced, but in fact the number of these guys involved will have definitely multiplied. So they are a highly, highly valued member of our team. Thank you very much.
Okay, there's time for one quick question, if anybody does have a question. Okay, just take the one question just here, thanks. Take the microphone, thanks.
Yeah, I think the vet techs are a very good idea. I see certain things you had listed there. One of them was like surgical assistance, things like that. Do you think that on the large animal side it might go the same way that the veterinary nurses went on small animals, that they would have to be properly accredited and maybe do further training than just doing like lameness courses, or how do you see the training going?
Yeah, I see really the surgical assistance there was really more for very much in a farm animal nursing type role as far as assisting a vet there. Okay, so I'm not suggesting that they're going to substitute for a vet in those sort of situations. So, for example, if we had somebody who had graduated not long ago who's happy to do operations, it wouldn't hurt to have a vet tech there, just helping them to keep, to help keep everything clean and all those sort of things, just to reduce the stress actually. Okay, and the same with the cesarean. We will often, if we've got a client who we know have got poor facilities and they're doing a cesarean, we will send out a vet tech to help them, just to be an extra pair of hands and someone who can actually scrub up and to be relatively clean compared to the farmer who's covered from head to toe. So it's more of an assisting role in the surgical side. We certainly don't see them in the short term or until certainly our CVS rules changed, that they wouldn't be doing any surgical procedures themselves. And certainly we're very strict on that when it comes to foot trimming, that they are not cutting into live tissue. Okay, I didn't actually mention it, but we have a very strong ethos that they will, through the technology that these guys use on farm, there is what we call a refer to vet category, and we think that's vitally important that they know their limitations, and we would encourage them that if there's tissue that needs to be cut into, that a vet is involved using local anaesthetic, and that's not their remit. Okay, that they mustn't be cutting into soft tissue.
Thanks very much. Thank you very much, John.